2011. My name is Claudia Gonzalez, and I am one of the co-producers for this year. I would like to welcome you and thank you for being here tonight. And just to remind you, tonight's show is sponsored.
Miriam Merlin was an activist and an author. She was the Chief of Staff of Ministry for Gender and the Rights of Women of Haiti. She founded EchoFam, which collects and promotes women's stories, fighting for women's rights through the media. She was extraordinary and beloved, and brought Vide and the Vagina Monologues to Haiti. She died in that earthquake.
Almost a year has passed since 2010 cracked open at its spine. A year since I began calling and calling, believing that the ring would hear me and wake you. Almost a year since the exploding living rooms and limbs, a blizzard of cement and bone, those days of body bags and not enough body bags, of silent babies wandering the remains, and sometimes screams, cheers, and prayers. Those days right after Haiti collapsed like a house of cards that you had been holding. Hungry, angry men, filled with babies not of their own. There are women who, in order to work, must leave their daughters. Women with blood on their legs, terrified to bathe. There are women waiting to sleep, women waiting for walls, roofs, and doors. And there are women refusing to wait. Women calling up your memory, your name. You worked so hard to change all of this. You and Magdalene and Anne-Marie and all of the others broke down gates, who changed the street names, who packed the courtrooms to make new laws. Your body may be laying amidst the dust and steel, but we are not giving up. We are singing your song, embodied by your name. Miriam, Miriam, Miriam.
I bet you're worried.
We were worried. We were worried about vaginas.
We're worried what to think about vaginas, and even more worried that we don't think about them. We're worried about our own vaginas. They needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. There's so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them, like the Bermuda Triangle, and nobody ever reports back from there.
In the first place, it's not so easy to even find your vagina. Women go weeks, months, sometimes years without looking at it. A high-powered businesswoman was interviewed, and she said she was too busy. She didn't have the time. Looking at your vagina, she said, is a full day's work. You have to get down there, on your back, in front of a mirror, that's standing on its own, full length preferred. You have to find the perfect light, with the perfect angle, which then is shadowed somehow by the mirror and the angle you're at. You get all twisted up. You're arching your head up, killing your back. You're exhausted by then. She said she didn't have the time. She was busy.
So there were vagina interviews, which became Vagina Monologues. Over 200 women were interviewed. Older women, young women, married women, single women, lesbians, African-American women, college professors, actors, sex workers, corporate professionals, Asian American women, Hispanic women, Native American women, Caucasian women, Jewish women. Okay. At first, women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy, but once they got going, you couldn't stop them. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. They get very excited, mostly because no one's ever asked them before.
Let's just start with the word vagina. It sounds like an infection at best, maybe a medical instrument. Hurry, nurse, bring me the vagina. times you say it, it never sounds like the word you're wanting to say. It's a totally ridiculous and completely unsexy word. If you're trying to use it during sex, trying to be politically correct. Oh, darling, stroke my vagina! You kill the act right there.
We were worried about vaginas, what we call them and don't call them.
In Great Neck, New York, they call it pussycat. One woman said that her mother used to tell her, don't wear undies underneath your pajamas, dear. You need to air out your pussycat.
In Westchester, they call it a poopy.
In New Jersey, a twat.
There's powder box, poochie, poopy, pee-pee, poopy-loo, poo-nanny, pal, and peesh.
Toady, Dee-Dee, Nishi, Dignity, Monkey Box.
Coochie snorcher, cooter, lady.
Gladys, Siegelman.
VA, Wee-Wee, Horse's Spot, Happy Dugout.
Mongo, Mookie, a pajama, fanny boo, mushmallow.
A ghoulie, possible, tamale, totita, Connie.
A meanie in Miami.
A splitnish in Philly.
A schmendy in the Bronx.
A hoo-ha in Warrensburg.
BA in UCM.
We're worried about vaginas.
Some monologues are based on women's stories. Some monologues are based on several, all surrounding the same theme. And sometimes a good idea becomes an outrageous one. This monologue is based on one woman's story. Although the subject came up in every interview and was often fought, the subject being hair.
You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Many people do not love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He thought it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed, and like a little girl. This excited him. When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must feel. Good to rub it and painful. Like scratching a mosquito bite. It felt like it was on fire. There were screaming red bumps. I refused to shave my vagina again. Then my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy, he said he screwed around because I wouldn't please him sexually. I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a German accent and gasped between sentences to show her empathy. She asked me why I didn't want to please my vagina. I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little when my hair was gone from down there. She said marriage was a compromise. I asked her if shaving my vagina would stop my husband from screwing around. I asked her if she had many cases like this before. She said questions diluted the process. I needed to jump in. She was sure it was a good beginning. This time, when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a therapy bonus prize. He clipped it a few times and there was a little blood in the bathtub, but he didn't even notice because he was just so happy shaving me. Then later, when my husband was pressing against me, I could feel his spiky sharpness sticking into my naked, puffy vagina. There was no protection, no fluff. I realized then that hair is there for a reason. It's the leaf around the flower, the lawn around the house. You have to love hair in order to love a vagina. You can't just pick the parts you want. And besides, my husband never stopped screwing around.
All the women were asked the following questions. If your vagina got dressed, what would it wear?
Glasses, a beret, a leather jacket, silk stockings, mink, a pink boa.
A male tuxedo. Jeans. Something form-fitting. Emeralds. An evening gown. Sequins. Armani only. A tutu. See-through black underwear. A taffeta ball gown.
Something machine washable.
Costume eye mask. Purple velvet pajamas. Angora. A red bow. Ermine pearls. A leopard hat. A silk kimono. Sweatpants. A tattoo.
An electrical shock device to keep unwanted strangers away.
High heels, lace, and combat boots. Purple feathers, twigs, and shells. Cotton, a pinafore,
A bikini.
a slicker.
If your vagina could talk, what would it say? 2 words. Slow down.
Is that you?
Feed me. I want. Yum. Yum. Oh, yeah.
Start again. No. Over there. Lick me. Stay home. Brave choice. Think again. More. Please. Embrace me. Let's play.
Don't stop. More. More. Remember me?
Come inside. Not yet.
Whoa, Mama. Yes. Yes. Rock me.
Enter at your own risk. Oh, God. Thank God. I'm here. Let's go. Let's go. Find me. Thank you. Bonjour.
Too hard.
Don't give up.
Where's Brian? That's better. Yes. There. There.
A group of women between the ages of 65 and 75 were interviewed. These interviews were the most poignant, possibly because many of these women had never had a vagina interview before. One woman who was 72 had never even seen her vagina. She had washed herself in the shower and the bath, but never with a cautious intention. She had never had an orgasm. At 72, she went into therapy, as they do in New York. And with the help of her therapist, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and got down with her bad self. She said it took her over an hour because she was arthritic, but when she finally found her clitoris, she said she cried. This monologue is for her.
Down there? I haven't been down there since 1953. No, it had nothing to do with Eisenhower. No, it's a cellar down there. It's dark, it's clammy. You don't want to go down there, trust me. You'd get sick, nauseating, very suffocating. The smell and clamminess, oh, it gets in your clothes. No, there was no accident down there. It didn't blow up or catch on fire or anything. I mean, it wasn't that dramatic. It was just, never mind. No, never mind. I don't want to talk to you about down there. I mean, what's a smart girl like you talking to old women about their down theres for? We never did this kind of thing when I was a girl. What? Oh, Jesus. Okay. There was this boy, Andy Letkoff. Oh, he was cute. Well, I thought he was cute. And he was tall like me, and he asked me out for a date in his car, and then he... No, never mind. I can't talk to you about down there. You just know it's there. It's like the cellar. You can hear pipes rumbling sometimes, and sometimes things get caught down there, you know, little animals. And sometimes there's leaks, and you gotta go plug up the leaks, but otherwise the door stays closed. I mean, you know it's there though. Every house has a cellar. I mean, otherwise the bedroom would be in the basement. Right, Andy Letkoff. Andy was very good looking. Oh, he was a catch. Well, that's what we called it in my day. And he asked me out for a date in his new white Chevy Bel Air. And I was sitting there thinking that my legs were too long for the seats. I have very long legs, and they were all smushed up against the dashboard. I was there staring at my big kneecaps when all of a sudden Andy just leans over and kisses me in this surprisingly take-me-by-control kind of way. You know, kind of like they do in the movies. And I got excited. So excited that there was a flood down there. It was like this force of passion, this river of life coming straight from down there, straight through my panties and straight onto Andy's new white car seat. It wasn't pee, and it didn't smell bad. Well, I didn't think it smelled bad, but Andy said it smelled like sour milk. He said I was a stinky, weird girl. And I wanted to explain to him that I wasn't normally like this. His kiss caught me off guard, and I tried to wipe up the flood with my dress. And it was a new yellow primrose dress, and it just looked so ugly with the flood on it. Andy drove me home without saying another word, and when I closed the door to his car, I closed up the whole shop, locked it, never opened for business again. I mean, I dated some after that, but the idea of flooding made me so nervous. I never got close to anyone again. I used to have these dreams. Oh, they were crazy dreams. They were so dopey. Why? Burt Reynolds. I don't know why either. I mean, he never did anything for me in real life, but in my dreams, it was always Burt and I, Burt and I, Burt and I. And it was always the same general dream. We'd be in Atlantic City, or somewhere like that, with a big restaurant, and the chandeliers, and the waiters in the little vests, and Burt would give me an orchid corsage, and I'd pin it to my blazer, and we'd laugh. Oh, we were always laughing. And we'd eat shrimp cocktail. Huge shrimp, fabulous shrimp, and then we'd laugh more. Oh, we were so happy together. And just as he was about ready to lean in to kiss me, the whole restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would come out from under the tables. I don't know what pigeons were doing underneath the tables. And straight from down there would come the flood, and it would just pour and pour. And there would be Bert standing waist deep in it, looking at me like I'd done it again, horrified as his friends Dean Martin and the like would swim past us in their evening gowns and tuxedos. I really don't have dreams like that anymore. I mean, not since they took out everything associated with down there. They took out the uterus, the tubes, the whole works. The doctor, he thought he was being really funny. He said, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. But really, I found out it was cancer, and everything associated with down there had to go. But I mean, it's highly overrated. There are so many other things to do. I love dog shows. I sell antiques. You ask me what it would wear. What kind of question is that? What would it wear? It'd wear a sign, closed, due to flooding. What would it say? I told you, it's not like that. It's not a thing that speaks. It stopped being something like that a long time ago. It's a place you don't want to go. It's closed up. It's down there. You happy now? You got it out of me? You made an old woman talk about down there's? You feel better? You know, you're the first person I've ever told any of this to, and I do feel a little better.
My vagina is a shell, a round, pink, tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip, the center deep and acute, the scent delicate, the petals gentle but sturdy. I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina Workshop. I learned this from the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop, a woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who helps women to see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas. In the first session, the woman who runs the workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what we thought our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina would look like. One woman who was pregnant drew a huge red mouth, screaming with coins spilling out of it. Another very skinny woman drew this huge serving platter with a sort of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a huge black dot with lots of squiggly lines around it. The black dot was equal to a black hole in space. And the squiggly lines were meant to be people or things or just your basic atoms that got lost in it. I had always thought of my vagina as a sort of anatomical vacuum, randomly sucking up particles and objects from the surrounding environment. I had never really thought of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I, in fact, did not think of it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to look at our vaginas with hand mirrors. Then, after a careful examination, we were to report to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I'd never really seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward looking at it, as we were, on our mats in that workshop with our little hand mirrors. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I really found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open and you see this other bloody, complex world right underneath the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me the most were all the layers. Layers, inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who ran the workshop called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay there on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon. It was ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close. Around the workshop, I then asked how many women had had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I did not raise my hand, but I had had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they had been accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. They happened a lot in water, mostly in the bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes from the treadmill at the gym. I did not raise my hand because although I had had orgasms, I did not know how to make one happen. I don't know, I thought it was some sort of a mystical, magical thing, and I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong, getting involved, contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The surprise would be gone, and the mystery. The problem, of course, was that the mystery had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had a magical, accidental orgasm in a long time, and I was frantic. That's why I was in the vagina workshop. And then, the moment arrived that I had both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and to see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, the group of us women, on our backs, on our mats with our hand mirrors, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason. And I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was sheer embarrassment, but maybe it was the fact that I had to give up the fantasy. The enormous, life-consuming fantasy that someone was coming to do this for me. Someone was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, to give me orgasms. I could feel the panic coming, the simultaneous terror, and the realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris. I had rationalized it as mainstream and consumerist because I was in fact terrified that I did not have a clitoris. Terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those dry, dead, frigid, bitter, apricot tasting, oh my God. I lay there with my mirror, reaching with my fingers, searching for my clitoris, and all I could think about was the time when I was 10, and I lost my gold ring with the emeralds in the lake. How I kept diving over and over to the bottom of the lake, searching for my ring, running my fingers over stones and fish and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I'd be punished. The woman who ran the workshop saw my insane scrambling and sweating and heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, it's gone, I've lost my clitoris. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She said, as she stroked my head, my clitoris was not something that I could lose. It was me, she said, the essence of me. It was both the doorbell to my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back and I closed my eyes. I lay down the hand mirror. I watched myself, floating above myself. I watched as I slowly began to approach and re-enter. I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was very quiet, this re-entry, quiet and gentle. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and then I slid into my vagina, and it was suddenly easy, and I fit. I was all warm and pulsing and ready and young and alive, and then, without looking, with my eyes still closed, I suddenly put my finger on what had become me. There was a quivering at first which urged me to stay. The quivering became a quake, and then an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing. The eruption, it broke open into an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened up onto a plane of colors and music and longing and innocence. And I felt connection, calling connection, as I lay there, thrashing about on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a tulip, and a destiny. I am arriving as I am beginning to leave. My vagina, me.
The clitoris is pure in purpose. It is the only organ in the body designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves. 8,000 nerve fibers to be precise. That's a higher concentration than is found anywhere in the male or female body, including the fingertips, the lips, and the tongue. And it's twice the number in the penis. Who needs a handgun when you've got a semi-automatic?
This monologue was based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know it should have happened in the bath with salt grains from the Dead Sea and you playing me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and loathing of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite! I know all of it. Like, if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down the milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on, I wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture, cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet settees, leopard rugs, pretty things, silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or place settings. I got so accustomed to this that I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I have ever met. He was tall and thin and nondescript and wore khaki-tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent time in the shade. He did not share his inner feelings. He did not have any problems or issues, and he wasn't even an alcoholic. Bob wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't happened to pick up the change I dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me back my quarters and pennies and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out, Bob loved vaginas. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the way they smelled, but most importantly, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. Hello. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said. I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was some kind of weirdo and freaking out in the dark. Bob turned on the light. Then he said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to see you. Right here, I waved. I'm right here. Then he began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said. I need to see you, he said. No need, I said, just do it. But I have to see what you look like, he said. But you've seen a red leather couch before, I said. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said. It's who you are. I have to look. I held my breath. He looked and looked. Got all breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. You're so beautiful, he said. You're elegant, and deep, and innocent, and wild. You saw that there? I asked. It was like he read my palm. I saw that, he said, and more. Much, much more. He went on looking for almost an hour, as if he were studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes, but it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric that I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell, began to feel proud, began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there. And I was there with him in my vagina, and we were gone.
Female vaginal mutilation has been inflicted on approximately 130 million girls and young women. In the countries where it is practiced, mostly in Africa, about 3 million young girls a year can expect the knife or the razor or the glass shard to cut their clitoris or remove it altogether. In a man, it would range from amputation of the penis to removal of all of the penis. Short-term results include tetanus, hemorrhages, cuts in the urethra, bladder, and vaginal walls. Long-term effects: chronic uterine infection, increased agony and pain during childbirth, and early deaths.
My vagina's angry. It is pissed off. My vagina's furious, and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all this shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people out there thinking up ways to torture my poor ass, gentle, loving vagina, spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy? Vagina motherfuckers? All this shit they're constantly trying to shove up us, clean us up, stuff us up, make it go away? Well, my vagina's not going away. It is pissed off, and it's staying right here. Like tampons. What the hell is that? A dry wad of fucking cotton stuffed up there? Why can't they find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? As soon as my vagina sees it, it goes into shock. Forget it. It closes up. You need to work with the vagina. Introduce it to things. Prepare the way. That's what foreplay's all about. You got to convince my vagina. Seduce my vagina. Engage my vagina's trust. You can't do that with a dry wad of fucking cotton. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and stop cleaning it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't try to decorate. And don't believe that when he tells you it smells like rose petals, because it's supposed to smell like pussy. That's what they're doing. Trying to clean it up. Make it smell like bathroom spray or a garden. All those douche sprays. Floral, berry, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain. I'm cleaned up, like washing a fish. After you cooked it, I want to taste the fish. That's why I ordered it. Then there's those exams. Who thought them up? There's got to be a better way to do those exams. Why the scary paper dress that Why don't they find some nice, delicious purple velvet and wrap it around me? Lay me down on a feathery cotton spread. Put on some nice, friendly pink or blue gloves. Rest my feet in some fur-covered stirrups. Warm up the ducklets. Work with my vagina. But no more torture. Dry wad of fucking cotton, cold ducklets, and thong underwear? That's the worst. Thong underwear. Who thought that up? Moves around all the time. Gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. Vagina's supposed to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why girdles are so bad. We need to move and spread and talk and talk. Vaginas need comfort. Make something like that. A nice pair of soft cotton underwear with the French tickler built in. Women will be coming all day long. Coming in the supermarket. Oh! Coming on the subway. Yes! Coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it, seeing all those energized, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If my vagina could talk, it would talk about itself, like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions. It would wear Harry Winston diamonds, no clothing, just there, all draped in diamonds. My vagina helped release a giant baby. It thought it would be doing more of that. It's not. Now, it wants to travel, doesn't want a lot of company. It wants to read and know things and get out more. It wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for depth. It wants kindness. It wants change. It wants silence and freedom and gentle kisses and warm liquids and deep touch. It wants chocolate. It wants to scream. It wants to stop being angry. It wants to come. It wants to want. It wants my vagina? My vagina? Well, it wants everything.
Countless women are being burned, raped, or killed every day in the Iraq War. The United States government calls it collateral damage and will not be held accountable. Although the Punjab Assembly passed a resolution in 2003 proposing that acid attacks be treated as attempted murder, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan reported that the number of cases more than doubled between 2005 and 2006 and tripled by 2007. And by May 2008, the number of acid attacks that year had already surpassed the total number reported in previous years. Since 1993, over 400 women and girls had been murdered and more than 70 remain missing in Sindad, Mexico. Many of these women have been sexually raped, tortured, strangled, or mutilated.
When she woke up, her face was on fire, and bombs had fallen from the sky. Her face was in flames, and she couldn't scream. The burning encircled her throat like a falling tower. And just as the flames entered her eyes, she pressed her torn blanket. But when she pulled it off, she had lost most of her cheeks, most of her forehead, most of her chin were lost. He hated her looking like that. Hated whoever she had become. No longer a relative. No longer someone that he could marry off. But yet, still someone he was responsible for. He hated the planes that dropped from the sky. They promised freedom, but instead, they destroyed. He hated those planes. But now, he hated his bandaged, milted, needy daughter even more.
The first time, he grabbed the closest thing. He grabbed a pot. He smashed her head. He smashed her right eye hard. The next time, he thought about it a little, and he paused. The third time, he needed to be more involved in hurting her. So he took off his belt. She had gashes inside her thighs. Don't ask what she had done. Don't ask what she was done. It was just her face that pissed him off. Her needy face waiting for more. The last time he'd had enough of her. He planned it out. He got the acid in advance. He poured it in a jar. She said she needed money for food for them. She looked like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. Her face is gone. Totally melted off. Eyes, that's all you see. Just eyes encased in gooey flesh. I tell you this because she's inside that mess. Inside that monstrous mask. Inside the death of her esteem. Inside his wish to make her none. I heard her. I swear, I heard her wheeze. I heard her sigh. I heard her babbling something that was with once her mouth. I heard her. I swear, she lives in there.
Each woman is dark, particular, young. Each woman has brown eyes. Each woman is gone. There's one girl missing for 10 months. She worked in the maquilador for $4 a day. They paid her and bussed her to the desert to sleep in freezing shit. It must have been on the way to the bus they took her. It must have been dark outside. It must have gone on and on. You can tell from the others who showed up without hands, without nipples. It must have gone on and on. When she finally reappeared, she was bone. Bone! Bone! No cute mole above her right eye, no wavy black hair. Bone! She came back as bone. She and the others, all beautiful, all beginning, all coupons. All faces, all gone. 300 faces gone. 300 noses, 300 chins, 300 dark penetrating eyes, 300 smiles, 300 mulatto-colored cheeks, 300 hungry mouths, about to scream, about to tell, about to scream. Gone. Now bone.
Bosnian refugees were interviewed during the war in Yugoslavia and refuge camps and centers. 20 to 70,000 women were raped in the middle of Europe as a systematic tactic of war. It was shocking to see how little people did to stop it. But then again, in the United States, each year, about 200,000 women are raped. which is another kind of war. This monologue is based on one woman's story. We do it tonight for that woman and for the extraordinary women of Bosnia.
My vagina was green. Water soft, pink fields, cow mooing, sun resting, sweet boyfriend touching lightly with a soft piece of blonde straw. There is something between my legs. I do not know what it is. I do not know where it is. I do not touch. Not now. Not anymore. Not since. My vagina was chatty. Can't wait. So much saying words, talking. Can't quit trying. Can't quit saying, oh yes. Oh yes. Not since I dreamed there's a dead fish swimming down there with thick black fishing line. And the bad dead animal smell cannot be removed. And his throat is slit and it bleeds through all my summer dresses. My vagina singing all girl songs, all goat bell ringing songs, all wild autumn field songs, vagina songs, vagina home songs. Not since the soldiers put a long, thick rifle inside me, so cold the steel rod canceling my heart. Don't know whether they're gonna fire it or shove it through my spinning brain. 6 of them, monstrous doctors with black masks shoving bottles of me too. There were sticks at the end of a broom. My vagina swimming river water, clean spilling water, over sun-baked stones, over stone clit stones, over and over. Not since I heard the skin tear and made lemon screeching sounds. Not since a piece of my vagina came off in my hand. A part of the lip. Now one side of the lip is completely gone. My vagina, alive, wet, water village. Not since they took turns for 7 days smelling like feces and smoked meat. They left their dirty sperm inside of me and I became a river of poison and pus. And all the crops died. And the fish. My vagina, alive, wet, water village. My vagina, my hometown. They invaded it, butchered it, and burned it down. I do not touch. Not now. I do not visit. I live someplace else now. But I don't know where that is.
In hundreds of interviews with homeless women over the course of 13 years, only one woman was not raped or sexually abused as a little girl. For these women, home is a very scary place, a place they have fled. The shelters are ironically the first place any of them ever find safety, protection, or comfort. This woman's story is a sheepholding, but what isn't in the story is the fact that this woman met another woman and they fell in love. And through their love, they both got out of the shelter system.
December 1965. Memory. 5 years old. My mama tells me in a scary, loud, life-threatening voice to stop scratching my coochie snorcher. I become terrified that I scratch it off down there, so I do not touch it again, even in the bath. I'm afraid of the water getting in and filling me up, so I explode. my coochie to cover the hole, but they fall off in the water. So I imagine a stopper, like a bathtub plug, up there to prevent things from entering me. I sleep with 3 pairs of happy heart pattern cotton underpants underneath my Snapple pajamas. I still want to touch myself sometimes, but I don't.
Memory, 7 years old. Edgar Montaigne, who is 10, gets angry at me and punches me with all his might between my legs. It feels like he breaks my entire self. I limp home. I can't pee. When Mommy asks me what's wrong with my coochie snorcher, I try to tell her what Edgar did to me, and she yells at me and says never to let anyone touch me down there again. I explain, Mommy, he didn't touch it. He punched it.
Memory, 9 years old. I play on the bed, bouncing and falling, and impale my coochie snorcher on the bedpost. I make high-pitched screaming noises that come straight from my coochie snorcher's mouth. I get taken to the hospital, and they sew it up down there from where it's been torn apart. Memory, 10 years old. I'm at my father's house, and he's having a party upstairs. Everyone's drinking. I'm playing alone in the basement, and I'm trying on my new cotton white bra and panties that my father's girlfriend gave me. Suddenly, my father's best friend, this big man Alfred, comes up behind me, and he yanks down my new underpants, and he sticks his big, hard penis inside my coochie snorcher. I kick, and I scream, and I try to fight him off, but he already gets it in. My father's there then, and he has a gun, and there's this loud, horrible noise, and then there's blood all over me and Alfred. Lots of blood. Alfred's paralyzed for life, and my mama doesn't let me see my father for 7 years. Memory, 13 years old. My coochie snorcher is a very bad place. It's a place of pain, nastiness, punching, invasion, and now blood. It's a site for mishaps. It's a bad luck zone. I imagine a freeway between my legs, and I am traveling, going far, far away from here.
Memory, 16 years old. There's this gorgeous 24-year-old woman in our neighborhood, and I stare at her all the time. One day, she invites me into her car. She asks me if I like to kiss boys, and I tell her, I do not like that. Then she says she wants to show me something, and she leans over and kisses me so softly on the lips with her lips, and then puts her tongue in my mouth. Wow! She asks if I want to come over to her house, and then she kisses me again, tells me to relax, to feel it, and to let our tongues feel it. She asks my mama if I can spend the night, and my mother's delighted that such a beautiful, successful woman has taken an interest in me. I'm scared and I can't wait. Her apartment's fantastic. She's got it hooked up. It's the 70s, the beats, the fluffy pillows, the mood lights. I decide right there that I want to be a secretary like her when I grow up. She makes the vodka for herself and then asks what I want to drink. I say the same as she's drinking, and she says she doesn't think my mama would like me drinking vodka. I say she probably wouldn't like me kissing girls either. And the pretty lady makes me a drink. Then she changes into this chocolate satin teddy. Oh, she's so beautiful. I always thought bull daggers were ugly. I say, you look great, and she says, so do you. And I say, but I only have on this white cotton bra and underpants. Then she dresses me, slowly, in another satin teddy. It's lavender like the first soft days of spring. The alcohol's gone to my head, and I'm loose and ready. There's a picture over her bed of a naked black woman with a huge afro. She gently and slowly lays me out on the bed, and just our bodies rubbing makes me come.
She does everything to me and my coochie search that I always thought was nasty before, and wow, I'm so fresh. Wish I could keep it that way forever. I get crazy wild, and then the phone rings, and of course it's my mama. I'm sure she knows. She catches me at everything. I'm breathing so heavy, and I try to act normal when I get on the phone, and she asks, "What's wrong with you? Have you been running?" I say, "No, Mama, exercising." Then she tells the pretty lady to make sure that I'm not around any boys, and she tells her, "Trust me, there's no boys around here." Afterward, she teaches me everything about my coochie searcher. She makes me play with myself in front of her and teaches me all sorts of ways to give myself pleasure. She's very thorough. She tells me to always know how to give myself pleasure, so I never need to rely on a man. In the morning, I'm worried I become a butch because I'm so in love with her. She laughs, but I never see her again. I realized later she was my surprising, unexpected, and politically incorrect salvation. She took my sorry-ass coochie searcher and raised it into a kind of heaven.
We've created a map of vagina-friendly cities. Welcome, UCM! Woo! They are wild for vaginas in Pittsburgh. In fact, a woman from Pittsburgh was obsessed with a particular word, a pejorative word used to describe the vagina. Her mission was to reconceive this word.
I call it cunt. Yeah. I've reclaimed it cunt. I really like it. Cunt. Listen to it. Cunt. Cavern, cavern, clit, cute. Come closed, see closed, inside, ca, then you, then cup, then curvy, inviting, shark skin you, uniform, under, up, urge, you, then N, then con, snug letters fitting perfectly together, N, nest, now, nexus, nice, always deft, always round in uppercase, cun, N, a jagged, wicked electrical pulse, then soft N, warm N, cun, then T, then sharp, certain, tangy T, texture, take, tent, tight, tantalizing, tensing, taste, time, tendrils, tactile, tell me, cunt,
Was asked, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? Well, it would wear red high tops and a Mets cap, worn backwards. If it could speak, what would it say? It would say words that begin with V and T. Violin and turtle are examples. What does your vagina remind you of? Well, a pretty dark peach, or a diamond I found in a treasure and it's all mine. What's special about your vagina? Somewhere deep inside, it has a really, really smart brain. What does it smell like? Snowflakes!
Sex workers have rich, compelling, and very complex relationships with their vagina. This particular woman blows my mind. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women.
I love vaginas. I love women, and I do not see them as separate things. Women pay me
to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I didn't start out like this. No, to the contrary, I started out as a lawyer. But in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it, kind of brilliant. I started getting paid for it, and it was as if I had found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women. Lace, silk, and leather. And I used props, whips, rope, dildos, and handcuffs. There was nothing like this in corporate law. There was no excitement, there were no props, and there were no delicious mouths. There were no erect nipples. Mainly, there was no moaning. This was the key. I see now. Moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl, I would see women in movies making love, making strange orgasmic moaning noises. I used to laugh. I couldn't believe that those big, outrageous, ungoverned noises like that came out of women. I longed to moan. I practiced in front of my mirror on a tape recorder, moaning in various keys and various tones. But when I played it back, it always sounded fake. It was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything remotely sexual, really. Only my desire to be sexual. But then, when I was 10, I had to pee really badly once on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour. When I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting. I moaned as I peed, and I couldn't believe it. Me, moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized then that moans were connected, not with getting what you want right away, but with putting things off. I realized that moans were best when they caught you by surprise. When they came out of this dark, hidden, mysterious place that was speaking its own language. I realized that moans were, in fact, that language. I became a moaner! It made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud, they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus, and then they'd lose everything. We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building, and people stared at me with contempt on the elevator. Men said I was too intense. Some called me insane. I began to feel bad about moaning. I got quiet and polite. I made love to a pillow. I hesitated. I couldn't, they would, I was becoming hopeless. I started getting headaches and stress-related disorders. I then realized that women, I discovered how deeply excited I got when I made other women moan. I realized that most women loved my moaning. I made love to quiet women, and they found a place inside them where they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan. Sometimes I found it over a woman's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up on it, off the record, quietly disarming all the surrounding alarms and moving in. Sometimes I used force, but not oppressive, violent force, more like dominating. Don't worry, lay back. I'm going to take you someplace you're really going to enjoy. Kind of force. But sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moment before things even got started. When we were in the kitchen eating salad or chicken, just casual right there with my fingers. Oh, here it is, like that. All mixed in with the balsamic vinegar. But sometimes I used props. I loved props. And sometimes I made the woman find her moan right in front of me. I waited, stuck it out, until she opened herself to me.
I wasn't fooled by the more minor, more obvious moans, no. I pushed her all the way into her power moan. First we have the clit moan. The vaginal moan. Oh! The combination clit-vaginal moan. Whoa! We have the almost moan. Oh! There's the right on it moan. Oh! There's the elegant moan. There is the grace slick moan. Oh, yeah! There's the wasp moan. There's the Jewish moan. No. There's the African American moan. Ooh. Catholic moan. Oh, forgive me! There's the mountain tap moan. There's the baby moan. Oh, there's the doggy moan. There's the uninhibited militant bisexual moan. There's the machine gun moan. There is the Zen moan. Oh. There is the diva moan. Oh! My God! Oh! There's the college moan. I should be studying! There is the surprise triple orgasm moan. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get it. Baby, yeah. Yes. This piece was performed for some time without any mention of birth. This was a bizarre omission, but then again, a male journalist recently asked, what's the connection? Our author, Eve Ensler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vagina before. She's in deep worship now.
I was there when her vagina opened. We were all there. Her mother, her husband, and I, and the nurse from the Ukraine with her whole hand up in her vagina with her rubbery gloves, casually talking to us as if she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there in the room when her contractions came and made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans, leaks from her pores, and still after hours she just screamed, suddenly wilding her arms at the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny child stuck inside just waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina change from a bruised, broken blue to a gray pink to a dark. I saw the blood like perspirations along the edges. Saw the yellow saw the white liquid, the shit, the clogs, pressing through all of the holes, pressing harder and harder. Scratches of black hair, the baby's head like a hard memory. As the nurse of the Ukraine kept turning and turning her hand, I was there. Each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pressing with all our strength against her. And her husband sternly counting, 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. I couldn't take my eyes off of that place. We forget about vaginas, all of us. I stood there in awe. We lose our lack of reverence. I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice of Wonderland spoons. And there when her vagina became like a wide operatic mouth, singing with all its strength. First the little head, then the gray flopping body, then the whole body just swimming into our open arms. But later, I turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her, all exposed, swollen, and I watched as the doctor was sewing her up. It became as if it was more like a wide, red pulsing heart. The heart, which is capable of sacrifice. It changes its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us, die for us, and bleed us into this wondrous world.